When I was 10 years old, my Uncle Skip gave me my first camera. It was a film camera, a Pentax K1000, and I loved it. I loved taking pictures of my neighbors, of my cats, of anything in front of me.
My biggest inspiration as far as art goes was Karen Dunbar. She was my, I think, middle school and high school art teacher.
Greybull, I think, has been a good town for supporting the arts as long as I've been here.
So if we start from the beginning. So like I said, I was born and raised here. Went to high school, took my first art class, and it was Mrs. Dunbar was the art teacher. And she just, really had just a way of kind of inspiring you to be creative. And it was something that I just, ever since I grabbed pencils, I was just drawing.
I was drawn to art as a young child. Probably around 8 or 9, I started taking my brother's colored pencils and his papers because he had started drawing, and so I just wanted to be like my brother.
Kind of got started in art just because, I don't know, something in me said do art. My uncle is a fairly well-known artist, Douglas Agard, and I kind of always wanted to be like him.
If you ask my mom, she'll tell you that I have been drawing and doing artistic things since I was old enough to hold a pencil, or perhaps maybe it started with a crayon. And rather than coloring in coloring books, like a lot of kids, I preferred to draw my own drawings and then color them. I wanted to create my own stuff.
I started drawing when I was 2. However, I liked to draw on the walls, and my mom did not like that. So she bought rolls and rolls of butcher's paper and lined my bedroom walls with it and gave me a bunch of crayons. And she is actually the one who taught me how to draw people.
It starts way back when I was in 4th grade. I used to draw with my brother Steve. He would draw a picture from the Wildlife magazine, and I would copy what he was drawing on his paper. And that was always a starting, I think of that as a starting point.
Okay, here's what we were mulling over here.
Another idea.
So, what the idea of the snowmobiles side by side, them for the other side of the wall, with the hub and the Bighorn Basin, have like a drag racing car,
And a plane, and
an airplane, and more.
Like
So Napa
with a
Auto
motor.
Parts, and
Yeah,
then
everything
here's
with a
all
motor.
these automated.
Yeah, like all the different toys.
Instead of trying to put them in the mountains.
Yeah, that's tough to. I don't think we're gonna get everything in that. Right. Yeah, there's so much. We really tried to pack in as much as we could. I think we did a good job.
Well, I think we should do that.
So much.
For sure.
We're gonna get started, yay! Who's the paint? You're the first one! Packing your mural cherry. Cool. Well, I'm really excited. I'm so glad I'm doing it, but I don't know.
Over the last few years, there has been an emerging art scene in Greybull. It's almost been percolating in the shadows. And this year is when we all came together. And I couldn't even tell you what was the tipping point. But it seemed like we were all there creating art. And this summer was the Bighorn County Arts Guild.
So about, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, a group of us had attempted to start an arts guild here in Greybull, and it just, for some reason or another, it just didn't work out. And then last summer, I met Rebecca, who is the vice president of our arts guild, and she approached me about
What started the guild? Well, there was the one day, I spent, I've been in and out of the diner a few times and seen all of Deanna's art on the wall, and I'm like, all right, this is my kind of person right here. There's good food in here, there's artwork in here. And, I knew a lot of the art on the wall was Deanna's, and I knew that there wasn't really any arts associations going on around here, and I just kind of approached her one day. I was like, hey, do you want to start an art club?
So when I talked with Rebecca, we got really excited, and initially the meetings were just the two of us.
The two of us started brainstorming over that and talking about it, and then reaching out to other artists and whatnot. And I don't even remember how the heck we got everybody to the first meeting. Probably Deanna, because she's really good at the whole social media thing.
All of a sudden, we had 30 people showing up to our guild meetings.
I found the guild by being friends with other artists, and it has been a ripple effect, I would say, as other artists invite their friends who invite their friends, and we're a growing group that is going to create great things.
One person can't do it all by themselves. Sometimes you need to know that you're not alone. There's other people that want to help, and you can accomplish great things when you get a good team behind you.
So when we decided that we wanted to do a mural for the guild and for our town, we had to figure out where we were going to put it. So I was just driving around one day, and every exit out of town, I drove in, drove out. Nothing felt right or a good spot until I came in. So I went up to the Greybull town sign across the bridge, and then came back into town, went by the post office, and I guess I never noticed the side of CC's Pizza's building. And I looked at it, and even though the brick's a little corrugated, it's a very smooth brick. The indents were a bit of a struggle to paint around and get that detail, but it was like the perfect spot.
So a few years ago, I had this thinking that it would be so fun if something was drawn on my wall. A project that the kids could do for the community, because community likes that. So I just kind of asked a little round, is there anybody that wanted to do any art? Nobody ever wanted to do it. So then back in, April, May, Deanna Skillman approached me and said, the art guild, Bighorn Art Guild, is looking at doing a mural, and could we do it on your wall? I said, okay.
I think Deanna's the one that had the initial idea for a mural. I remember her mentioning it to me, and the vision with filling the letters and having them sitting on top of the mountains with the clouds in the background, and even down to the details of having the mountains in black and white. That was kind of her creative vision, and I totally got on board with it.
Like many others, I was inspired by the murals of Karen Dunbar along Railroad Avenue decades ago, and wanting more of that. And being a business owner in this town, I want that for this town so that it's nice for me to look at and the tourists that come here. And so when Deanna and Robert Skillman said, let's do it, I said, I'm on board. I don't know how, I don't know where you want me, but put me in.
The importance of the mural was kind of just putting us on the map with some art and saying, we're sandwiched between two towns, Cody and Sheridan, who have amazing art communities. And there's not really any middle ground between the two, so artists have to travel a long ways to get their art seen or participate in activities. We don't have any of that here. So we kind of feel like it's important to have that art here to start, bringing people here to spend their money here, stay here. Greybull and all our little towns here, we are on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to income and economics. And we just really feel like art could help boost our economics and bring some revenue into our town. And that is one of the goals of the Art Guild, you know, to preserve the culture, bring some art here, and hopefully start keeping younger people here. Arts, entertainment, you know, there's just so much potential that we have to keep the town alive and growing and help the other little towns in our county do the same.
We talked and we had a lot of meetings about what makes up Greybull, what each letter should have.
To get the chalk markers from.
And it was an endless list. We would have to do many, many murals to encapsulate everything that is Greybull. And so we do recognize that there's some things we left out, because you can't possibly include everything. But I believe that everything in that word Greybull on that mural represents our community.
Move back a bit. Yeah, okay. I think measure that now and see how big that is.
So right now we are projecting the mural just to make sure. So we've basically laid out tape marks for the center of the wall, and then we're going to start in the middle and work our way out just to make sure that there's enough, all the letters are going to be straight. And basically we're getting started on chalking everything out just to make sure that it's going to fit right before we put any paint on the wall.
My husband and I co-own JT Construction, and so I asked him if he could donate some time to come out and prime the wall for us. He originally thought it was going to be a paid job. I was like, it's only an hour. It's like, I'll pay you the $30 if that's what it takes. But yeah, he decided that we could just donate our time and our paint sprayer for that. And so he did. He just came out and did that for us. Yeah, having the projector there was insanely great because I had no idea how I was going to go about doing that.
Talisa borrowed her projector, and that was a lifesaver for time. And I think everybody appreciated that.
And then Talisa taking a really awesome role and putting that, like, projecting what people had drawn onto the side of the building with her computer. She had the printouts in color for us so we could see our vision before we even got started.
So I don't know if I always hesitate to call myself a lead in anything because I feel like every project is such like a group effort. I think I've kind of always been that way too. It's like, yeah, I'll plan something and overplan something a lot, but it's it really, I probably couldn't accomplish anything without all the other people involved, but I mean, I'm more than happy to step in of where, you know, if somebody thinks that I can help. And I mean, it's having gone through, you know, the most difficult mural in my house, I knew where to start, and like I had researched it a lot, and like I was just gonna kind of sit back and be like, oh, how does everybody else do it? But when everybody just started asking questions, I couldn't help myself, and I just needed to like answer questions because that's kind of how I am. It's like if you have a question, I'll have an opinion on it, you know, and just kind of see how it works out. But no, I was happy that I could contribute, really, and I don't know if it was necessarily a lead role, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Ended up helping a lot with the mountain scene on the bottom. I was really intimidated by the size of the project, the weather, just all the things that were involved with doing it. I was just like, okay, how is this gonna happen? But when there's a will, there's a way, and these women were just really, really on it. And so it made me want to just like help even more. The divots and all the nooks and crannies on the wall were definitely something to work with, but I added a little water and that just made it move so much faster.
The mountains, I would say that we all struggled with that because it was all black and white because we took it off of our guild logo. I think the first time we had it down, and then we just overthought it and overworked it. And it got a little muddy, but I think in the end we pulled it together. Just because there were so many of us working on it, all of us had a different opinion on how it should look. And then I think once we kind of got it where we wanted it, we just decided let's just leave it alone, because none of us we agreed on it, but we didn't agree on it, like certain aspects of the mountain range. So that made it really hard.
With everybody having their own letter, but then coming together for all of the landscape and stuff around it, you know, it wasn't like we had this specific reference photo that we were looking to exactly do, which that's what I do. I look at reference photos, but it was like, oh no, you just start doing some mountains. Like, you don't want me to do that. So, yeah.
So through all the planning stages, I was assigned the letter G, and it was important for me for it to be the G of our local school district, which is school district number 3, the Buffaloes. So it is the iconic blue and gold bison. To me, it represents a large part of our town, which is our school-age kids. And so with that, not only having the G of Greybull be that buff G, but having school kids paint it, that was important to me. So I signed up my 3 children who go to the middle school and the elementary school. We enlisted their friends. We put out a call to others. I texted people, we emailed, and a group of students came together from all ages, from teenagers down to pre-K. I think we had 15 students, including a couple homeschool kids, and together we painted this beautiful letter. It took a lot of work. That is the other thing about this project. I signed up thinking it would take a little bit of work, only to realize it took a lot of work. A lot of time and effort went into this mural, and each person and each brush of paint, it's a lot of love that went into that mural. And I am excited for these children when they visit Greybull later in life and can say, hey, I painted that. I was part of that. And that's ownership. That's pride in your community. And that is what art can do also, is instill a pride in you for a place that you call home.
I learned about the mural after I joined the Arts Guild, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking Pam needs to be a part of this, and I thought, what a fun family activity. So, what I had envisioned was much different than what truly happened. And so when Pam joined the Arts Guild, she decided that we would do that together. So that was a surprise for me.
It was a surprise. It was a very big surprise for Cami when I was like, and yes, Cami and I will be doing that. And I knew Cami's more than talented enough. And I think the R was just because, I don't know, it was, it's kind of a ranching thing. And so the R sounded good. I knew they were doing the G to be the letter from the high school or, from the school system. So I knew that would be great. So I guess the R just sort of made sense that we'd be next to that, and it was fun.
It worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. And as far as the design went, I just kind of had it in the back of my head, and I will tell you that honestly, I like to see what I'm doing, especially on the wall, because I didn't know how much texture we would have to deal with and how many holes. We did have some holes that we spackled shut. For some people, you do things small, and I have done large signs. I've done very large signs. I did an 8 by 24. It was a big sign. And when you have it down on a piece of paper, it looks one way. And when you have it up on a wall, it looks another. And so I didn't want to get so attached to whatever was on the paper.
Well, my husband's family actually established a ranch out near Shell in 1906.
Oh.
So at the same time that Greybull was being homesteaded and stuff, they were, homesteading out there.
And the only thing that I knew I wanted is I knew I wanted that cowboy hat in the middle of that R.
Mm-hmm.
And that cowboy hat, actually, my husband's grandfather, they ranched here. His name was Howard Flitner. And my husband ended up with his grandfather's hat when he passed away. And our daughter used to wear that hat around all the time. And so I was very familiar with it. And that is the hat that is in the middle of the R. To me, that's the hat.
These are all, for the most part, old Shell brands, which would be like old Greybull brands. So this is the Levitt brand. This is the Mayland brand. I think this is this.
So most of them kind of have some history, and I wish really we kind of ran out of time. I would have liked to have put even more on there. If I would have had more time, it would have been fun to even put more brands on there. But you have to go with the time that you have, and we lucked out because the weather was very nice. But at any moment, it could have gone the other way.
The Geo. This is an old brand that I wish you could remember the name of the ranch. It was over by Level. They had, I think that was their horse brand. That's the brand that's on Flitner cows. That's a different Flitner brand.
I think it was Deanna. I think she said, she goes, it's like, well, Roxana wants a letter too. And it's like everybody was already filled out. It's like, do you mind collaborating? And I was like, yeah, if she's okay drawing fish. I was like, yeah. And so I texted her that night and it was like, hey, we got a letter together. It's like, I don't know who you are. It's like, but we're going to collaborate. And luckily Roxana, she's awesome. So she just showed up here and we talked about a letter and like, honestly, it's like, it just kind of, we mesh together really well, so.
The concept, Talisa and I came up with together, and we drew it on her program. So initially we were gonna do like a meadowlark, but someone else was already doing a meadowlark, and I had experience doing hawks, and it's like, let's do a hawk. And then I definitely wanted to do a sunset because I just think we have really gorgeous sunsets around these mountains. So originally I just wanted to do only flowers, actually. I wanted to just do a bunch of floral stuff, but I was like, well, I didn't really want it to be just stylized on top and then have her realistic fish on the bottom. So we decided to match our art styles in that, and so we both used the same acrylic pens that she had, and so I think that really made our E look cohesive, and like one artist had done it.
The whole business is based off of a few fish drawings.
So yeah, I just really wanted to do a nature scene, and I added the Indian red paintbrushes in the letter E because it's one of the state flowers, and I've always loved them because it's red and green, and those are across each other on the color charts. They really pop.
This is the first time really doing like a collaborative piece for me, but I think if every project that's collaborative like that goes that smoothly, it's like I will do them forever and always, because it was just like you could just rely on her to be like, all right, what are we doing? And and I like her fearlessness of being like, man, I know both of us really didn't want to do any of the landscape because we just don't do landscapes. And then she's like, well, you just got to jump in, and she grabs the brush and just starts like throwing some gray paint up there. It's like, all right, like I can try this. And it just kept on. No, it was really nice working with her.
Everybody was just talking about the mural, and I was like, hey, I could do the Y because I have a good idea for what could go in there.
Fine lines, you could use Talisa's markers, or paint markers.
I'm gonna try a small edge of the paint.
I always knew exactly what I was gonna do. From the very beginning, I was thinking about all the letters. They were up there on the board, and I just looked at it, and I was like, why? You could put a horse just like this. I think I estimated that I spent about 8 hours on it. I spent mostly like 2 hours every time I went there every night because I had to wait until my husband got off of work so I could use the car because we only are operating on one car right now. So I had to wait for him to get off of work, and he could also watch the kids while I was doing that. I brought them along a couple of times. They weren't very enthused about that. They thought it was super boring just watching me paint. And even then, in some cases, I was still painting when it was too dark to paint.
I got you. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, babe, it's nitpick.
Yeah. Nitpicking my nitpicking?
Yeah.
I'm like, didn't you say nitpick? I don't.
Nope, he said nick-pick.
Oh, well,
That's like an unsolicited picture of Nick's.
We're talking about Nicolas Cage movies.
I don't know exactly what drives me to create art. I just think it's always been there. I think Van Gogh said it best. If there's a little voice inside you that says you cannot create art, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. I don't know that there's any one thing that I can say that drives me to create art. It's just in me, and I just let it out. Not always the way I want to. It doesn't always come out of my brain and onto the paper the way I want it to. Tried to paint Steamboat, tried to do him justice. I'm not sure that I did, but I tried. It was a fairly daunting task, but I know that nothing worth doing happens in your comfort zone. So I decided to try it anyway.
So the Greybull mural was one of the coolest projects I've ever worked on. And as a general rule, I don't prefer to work in groups. I like to work by myself, but this was a really fun project with some other great artists that are part of the guild. And so to be a part of that was a really cool experience. I chose the letter B when all the letters were up for grabs because I wanted something that had a lot of space to fill. I had a lot of ideas in my head, and the B has had a lot of surface area to fill.
I worked so hard to get it open.
Because we are in between two major mountain ranges and we're so close to Yellowstone, there is a lot of really cool wildlife that we get to see here. It is one of the things about our area that's really unique. We have a huge variety of wildlife, and that's my favorite thing to paint. And I wanted it to be really bright and bold the way that I paint my animals, and I wanted it to be some of our most iconic wildlife that we have in the area. I had a ton of fun doing it, trying to fit them into that shape and everything and make them stand out to where they would be visible from the road and they would also be appealing to look at up close. I may have shot myself in the foot just a little bit on that because I almost thought I wasn't going to get it done because I had so much detail in there. But it was one of those things, I'm always challenging myself and making it more difficult on myself than I should probably, than I need to, because I'm always trying to push myself to be better, not because I feel like I need to be better than the other artists around me, but I need to be better than I was yesterday, a month ago, last year, 5 years ago. There's always room for improvement. You're never going to be at the pinnacle there. And so I'm always up for that next challenge. And this was definitely, with the mural, one of the biggest challenges I've ever done. And it was one of my favorite projects. I think I would feel really empty if I didn't create. Because even the times when I was in like those discouraging moments where it's like, this is becoming too hard, it's not working or something like that, or I'm not getting the type of reaction or traffic or whatever it is you're looking for when you put something out there. Even when I've had those type of moments and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna give it up. The thought of that, I would be sad. It would kind of tear me apart. So even if I have to take a break from it, never fully giving up on it, I think it would be the best thing for me as a person. I can't not create. I mean, I'm always doodling or doing something.
So I had the letter U. Everyone else kind of did ranch and wildlife, landscaping, and recreational stuff. And I wanted to hit that spot that doesn't get a lot of spotlight in this area, and that was the Native American part of it. My family's culture is the Crow Indian Nation. My grandfather was an enrolled tribal member. And so I've done a lot of reading and research, and the Crow Reservation actually used to encompass this whole area, all the way over to Red Lodge. It doesn't encompass that anymore, but they were here. They gave the name to the river, the Bighorn River, to the mountains. The tribe has their own side of the Bighorn Mountains, and we have ours here, but it was all once reservation. So I just felt like it was important to make sure that that was seen in the letter U, so that people know that there was Native American culture and heritage here, and there is a lot of history of that in this area. I'm trying to say they were here first, but they kind of were. I mean, this whole area was their hunting grounds, and so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there was some representation for that culture in the mural.
We had our meeting and we started talking about the mural, and they had the Greybull, written down on a piece of paper, and they were signing letters to people, and I wanted one. I wanted a letter, but I wasn't super confident. I'd never done anything before, but like that, at that level, the size and the mortar and brick surface, and it was all a little intimidating, but I knew that the others didn't know, they didn't have experience either doing that. So I thought I wanted to go for it, so I selected the last letter because nobody picked it, but I wanted to pick it before something happened to get me in. Okay, my husband and I like to go in the foothills a lot, in mountains, and so I have some mountains, and I love the tablets that are in the mountains. Mm-hmm. And the foothills are very pretty with the red rocks, and then the little buck with the, I'm going to try to do velvet on him because in the real life picture is pretty cool. And then we got the state bird and the state flower, the meadowlark and the Indian paintbrush. Cool. And it's hard when you are freehanding for sure.
Yeah, and it's a lot bigger than I usually do, so like I could freehand it on a little canvas,
exactly.
But not
it's
this.
A whole different story. Wall, like a big wall. You kind of lose yourself where you're at. I already had a painting that I had recently painted that I thought would be a good fit because it had the mountains and the wildlife, the tablets that some of the people around here didn't even know about, I realized. And, the state bird and the state flower I could add to the idea I had started initially. And but the main worry I had is I didn't know if I could finish it in time because it was like 6 foot tall, 4 feet wide. And I wanted to do a good job on it, and I just wanted to get going. And I knew being retired, I'd have more time than most people to work on it. And that was a blessing for me to be able to, have that time. I did use my own paints, because I knew the colors that I needed to do my painting that I liked because I'd already done it once before. And the other thing is I knew I painted the picture before, so I knew I could do it again. I know, it was annoying me today, too. Yeah. I think it's almost shown who you are through painting and color, and it shows emotions and passion. And for example, what I paint, I usually have a passion for what I'm painting for. I don't want to paint it. And just like the different things I painted there, the things I'm kind of passionate about, I just really like what I paint, And art is just expressing the things that you love, I think.
Collaborating art is a lot harder than it sounds. When you are mashing up, I think so I helped do the L, and it was Rebecca, Roxana, and myself, but we ran with Pat Weiner's idea because she was originally assigned the L, but she just couldn't do it. So we ran with the Shell Falls idea.
Pat Weiner was supposed to do this, but she just had surgery, so we took it over. Do you want a midnight blue like that? Do you have anything darker? I can make it.
And it looked awful when I started it, so I actually had to pull a picture up of it and just make myself do it. I don't do landscapes. So it took Roxana and I really working that waterfall
Collaboration piece. It's got all 4 seasons. We got fall, winter,
Rebecca drew
spring,
the
and
outline.
summer.
Everybody shades differently, everybody interprets and lays down texture differently. You know, when you tell somebody, oh, shade this a little darker here, their interpretation might be a bit different than yours, which can be kind of a challenge. But in the end, when we got it all laid out and we touched up the areas that needed to be fixed and filled in all the little spots where that mortar and stuff was trying to show through, and then you stood back from it, it was really cool because it ended up looking pretty darn cohesive when we were done, which, considering that some of the artists barely even knew each other when we got together for this particular project, I think is really impressive.
To get it to stand out, I think my favorite part about doing it was drawing the ski lift. Just doing those fine details. Even so, when you look up close, you can't really see it, but when you step away, you can really see the ski lift and the chair. But that was hard because I kept thinking, I'm painting this with 2 other people, and I see their styles, but I don't do their styles. So it was, you know, having to be okay with someone coming in and changing something and vice versa, which artists sometimes are not good with. We like what we like, and we like it left alone. So that was a great learning experience for the L.
Art just breathes life into everything, and this is just going to breathe some beautiful life into Greybull, like revitalize and get new. Everyone wants a new change of scenery, and we gave it to them.
So when we were getting close to the end of getting the mural done, Lisa Kunkel, our member at large, who also works for the paper, is the one who brought up the ribbon cutting idea, and we thought that was great.
For the county. I'm going to start with a speech, and then Lisa's going to take it over and introduce the artists on the wall. So I'd just like to thank you for attending the Bighorn County Arts Guild ribbon cutting for our first mural. This project could not have been completed without the artists who participated, donations from local businesses, and donations and support from the community of Greybull and its citizens. It was a privilege to oversee this project and a privilege to participate in it. This is the first of many mural projects planned for the communities of Bighorn County. Public art is a distinguished part of our public history and our culture. It adds uniqueness to our communities, and our small towns gain value through art that is cultural, social, and of economic value. We hope future projects cultivate a cultural identity by reflecting the communities and their surroundings. And to finish this little speech with a quote by Vincent van Gogh, "If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced."
I was surprised at the turnout. It was so encouraging to look around that green grass full of people. The sidewalk had people. Up the ramp to the post office had people. Around to the alley there were people. There were people sitting in their car watching. that was special to me. I felt encouraged and supported.
I was truly excited to see how many people showed up, because Greybull, people like things, but then they never want to be a part of anything. And so just when you think, you know, oh, there's something that's going to happen in an event, people don't show up. So the ribbon cutting was a lot of people, and that was nice to see, that people were excited to see that it happened. And I think they all had the same outlook that I did, that it was good for our souls.
The letter R was painted by Pam Flintner.
So it was really nice to have everybody show up and enjoy it and see the support.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show of support. from all over the community. I mean, that it wasn't just the artists that came.
Okay, the letter E to Lisa Klein and Roxana Harwood.
The ribbon cutting ceremony was the icing on the cake. I couldn't have asked for a better turnout, little event. Just made us all feel really proud of what we'd accomplished.
All right, the letter Y was painted by Art Guild member from Lovell, Caitlin Agard, right?
It was my first ribbon cutting for anything. I've never been to a ribbon cutting before, so that was pretty cool. I'm not sure how they usually go down, but that one was great for my first time.
B was painted by Vice President and Secretary of the Guild, Rebecca Kinane.
I think art can definitely create community. I mean, when we actually did the ribbon cutting for the mural, I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up. I mean, you never know with those kind of things. I've been to art shows where the other artists that have participated in them before will be like, oh, we were so busy at this art show last year we couldn't sit down. And then the year that I go, there's no customers.
The letter U, our president, Deanna Skillman.
Then we got to know a few people. We really got to know Carla, and how excited she was. Every time she'd come out, she would just sit there and stare. And then she'd go back in and start making pizzas again, but just excited. And it got the whole community excited. The community was so, so excited about it.
The first of the two letter L's was Guild member Lisa McDonald.
The ribbon cutting was a special time. I was impressed with the community support that we had.
Congratulations, everyone, for completing our mural.
So I believe that in a community where art is a highlight, that it could benefit in a way that people will create more than destroy.
The Bighorn County Arts Guild, I feel like I can speak for us collectively. We wanted to give our community a gift, something beautiful. We wanted to showcase our talents because a lot of talented artists just put on their best here with this mural.
I think that art is important because the world would be really boring without art. I mean, if you look around, the world is a really beautiful place, and there's a lot of beautiful stuff in it. And art is a really great way to express some of the things that we see and the things that we feel.
Showing who you are through painting and color, and it shows emotion.
Art to me is therapeutic.
Art on paper, on canvas, clay, using your hands to make something is super vital to your health and wellness.
Art is my escape. It's not really an escape either. It's more just a way for me to process my emotions, my big feelings.
Art is living and breathing. It's changing and different. It brings people together.
So that's kind of what art does. That's what I do when I get stressed out. I'm like, I'm gonna go paint, because then I can just breathe.
What I love about art, and that includes photography, painting, all of the things, is that it's a conduit for a person to communicate what they are experiencing, what they're seeing, how they feel.
I think like a very distinct memory that I have of, it's like, of appreciating art was, I think I was in this like weird cafe in Denver somewhere, and it was like, I was waiting for the bathroom, and I'm just sitting there like staring at this painting, and I was like, this is just so cool that eventually people started walking around me. And I'm just sitting here staring at it. It's like in this weird hallway of this cafe. And it was like, it's just appreciating what other people create and just anything that's in front of you and just kind of giving it the time of day to let it make you feel how you want to feel. And I think it's really neat that as, like different artists can portray so many different things, like the same thing so many different ways. And I don't know, I still kind of look at my art a lot of the time and I'm like, why would anybody want to buy this? And then look at, like some other people's paintings and I'm like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Well, can I make something similar? So it's like I feel like art is kind of ever evolving and you just kind of do whatever feels right at that time, and that's what some of the time, like, some of it's really colorful, some of it is black and white, some of it is just sometimes how it turns out. And you just gotta let it manifest how it is. So, I don't know. Art.
I could paint a picture on a big canvas. I could take a photograph worth 1,000 words. I could write a song, mean something to someone. It's how I express the art in me. Oh, the art in me. It's a part of me. Gotta let it out. Oh, let it out loud. The art in me. I could write a book about the world's beauty. Maybe recite it on stage like poetry. Perform it one day on Broadway. It's how I express the art in me. Oh, the art in me. It's a part of me. Gotta let it out. Oh, let it out loud. Oh, the art of me. I can never hold back. Oh, I'm supposed to be. It'd be like trying to wear someone else's face. I was made by my creator to create. I can never hold back the art in me. It's a part of me. Gotta let it out. Oh, let it out loud. The art in me. Gotta let it